Maybe just a bit of background to why we decided to run this survey. When we asked our members in the run-up to Cannes how they feel about voice, a relatively tiny percentage tell us that they prioritize it today. However, when we ask them about their priorities for the next 3 years, it's actually in the top 4 priorities for global brand owners to get their heads around voice commerce in particular. The piece of research we're going to be talking about here today is actually the first and most important GAFAM independent piece of research with respect to voice commerce. What's interesting when you look at voice is the speed at which the penetration is increasing. So voice had a penetration of 0% in 2015. Okay, that's 4 years ago. Moved to 9% in 2016, 18% in 2017, 26% according to Forrester in 2018, and is forecast to be at 55% in 2022. So this is going to be getting very quickly critical scale. We found out that on that sample, 35% of people have checked prices through their voice assistants. 30% have actually put it on their shopping list. 18% have put it in their cart. And 15% have actually purchased through voice assistants. So we're still talking about a relatively limited number of people. When we ask them why those who don't use it, so it's 65% which have never used it for voice commerce, why they don't, the obstacles seem to be pretty low and pretty minor. They tell us they haven't gotten around to it yet, they haven't thought about it. A few told us that they were still expecting the technology to be improving. But overall, the indication is that these are pretty low obstacles to them actually moving into useful voice commerce.
And about the barriers, to complement to what Stefan said, we compared with the e-commerce barriers 15 years ago, and the barriers to e-commerce were much higher. There were huge issues of trust, huge issues of uncertainty. The habits were far from what we have now in terms of digital habits. So that's why we are saying that the barriers are very low, even compared to e-commerce. So the potential is great. All the FMCG of the world and the small technology are going to be really impacted by this. And again, it's because of what Stefan said. It's because the current usage, it's it's heading to the shopping list. So it's something that you put on your shopping list, and usually it's FMCG. And so we see that Alexa users are very open to Alexa taking a more active role into them selecting brands. Only 10% of the people are rejecting it, but the rest, we have like 68% who say that they would trust Alexa to recommend the brand and the product that they thought are more suitable for them. It's a high percentage, 68%, and among 16 to 34 years old, it goes up to 81%. So there's no question about the fact that they trust Alexa to recommend the brands. So it leaves the question of for the brand owners of the importance of the Alexa algorithm and the fact that it's fair, and because the importance will be very high.
From my perspective, different companies are in different stages of evolution, right, from a marketing perspective. The more progressive ones are clearly seeing voice coming as a huge wave. There is no running away from voice. And if you see the statistics that were just shared by Stefan and Federico, it's amazing how fast it's actually going in. So I think it becomes an imperative. It's not about I may do it, I may not do it. You have to do it if you have to survive. That's number one. Number two, because it is such uncharted territory right now, as a CMO or as a marketer, you need to know what your game plan is going to be based on whatever your hypotheses are about this particular evolution. So when voice is the only medium, sound is the way you have to be present as a brand. So this is the sonic branding effort that we have done. As far as voice is concerned, we created a sonic identity. We didn't start doing it now. We started this 2 years back because it takes time to really perfect things and optimize in any given situation.
I would argue that we're at the very beginning of this, and it requires actually brand owners getting their heads massively around this. And so this is why we've announced today the launch of the Voice Coalition. So we're opening this to any brand owners which want to join that effort in order for us to dig much deeper into voice. I think what we've seen in phase one is that there are plenty of reasons why we should be prioritizing voice going forward. We think there are actually opportunities linked to that for brands too. But brands need to understand the dynamics of this. They need to understand the consumer mindset in order to be winning in that environment. And we think we're at the very beginning of understanding this. And so we look forward to, I think, also to be engaging with GAFAM on these themes. They are going to be well placed also to help us get brand owners to understand the opportunities and embrace it.
As an association, it will be our responsibility as well to work with these digital giants and make sure that everything is a fair, level playing field for everyone. Now, the study that has just been done under the auspices of WFA is a beginning step along those lines. So one is to understand quite a lot, and we are trying to understand both through this study as well as our own proprietary work that we are trying to do at the company.
Since the beginning of this century, the first decade was Google, the second decade was social, and the third decade was going to be probably voice. And so the role of WFA is to help brand owners accelerate their learnings by connecting with the collective intelligence experience of their peers. And that's really what we do for a living. That's our promise to brand owners, and that's, I think, exactly what is needed here today. There's going to be probably a lot of experimentation going on, probably on a relatively small scale, with successes and failures, and we want to be helping marketers just go fast forward their learnings in terms of finding the right path forward. I think that's going to be what we're seeking to do.
You talked about ads briefly as part of your sonic branding. How do you see the channel eventually opening up to advertising formats, or do you think that's several years out?
My guess is it's not several years out, it's much, much closer. Because it's an opportunity waiting to be tapped into, right? As a brand, if I'm marketing packaged goods, say a detergent, I want to be right there up front. I don't want to wait till the ecosystem becomes big and complex. I want to be there right from the word go, and I want to be there as the number one recommendation, if not number one choice for the consumer, right? And so for me as a marketer, that's an opportunity to show up. For the media company, that's a phenomenal opportunity to monetize. So they won't wait for years for this to happen. I think advertising, getting into voice commerce is much, much closer than 3 to 5 years. Much closer, I would feel.
The fact that right now the experience of voice commerce is still very basic. It's like the WAP experience on mobile phones. If you remember the WAP, when there was WAP, if I was asked, would you ever go on the internet with your phone? I would have said, not sure, looking at the experience. With the billions of dollars of investments in AI, in the new skills that are happening, the fact that the Alexas of the world will not only be on the devices, but as you said, on the fridges, etc. This is going to, the experience is going to change completely the way that we have now the internet on mobile phones. And so that tells you about, we should not think about voice commerce as it is today. The experience will be much better, and that's why it has a big future, because the consumers will use it in a way that is much more natural than right now.
You can see how some of the skills which are going to be offered on voice assistants are going to be incredibly compelling for individuals, and I think that's where the future of marketing is. No, it's make brands meaningful at the right time for the right person. And that offers a huge opportunity. And this is why I think what we're saying here is we want to be exploring the potentials of voice. Of course, there are going to be challenges, and Frédéric was mentioning a few of those, but there are also huge opportunities to make actually marketing simply more accessible, more relevant at the right time for people. And I think that's what we're excited about.